Sermon number 165. Magnificence of the Creator, in birds. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Allah has provided wonderful creations including the living, the lifeless, the stationary, and the moving. He has established such clear proofs for his delicate creative power and great might that minds bend down to him in acknowledgment thereof and in submission to him. And arguments about his oneness strike our ears. He has created birds of various shapes which live in the burrows of the earth, in the openings of high passes and on the peaks of mountains. They have different kinds of wings, and various characteristics. They are controlled by the reign of Allah's authority. They flutter with their wings in the expanse of the vast firmament and the open atmosphere. He brought them into existence from non-existence in strange external shapes, and composed them with joints and bones covered with flesh. He prevented some of them from flying easily in the sky because of their heavy bodies and allowed them to use their wings only close to the ground. He has set them in different colors by his delicate might and exquisite creative power. Among them are those which are tinted with one hue, and there is no other hue except the one in which they have been dyed. There are others which are tinted with one color, and they have a neck ring of a different color than that with which they are tinted. The peacock. The most amazing among them in its creation is the peacock, which Allah has created in the most symmetrical dimensions, and arranged its hues in the best arrangement with wings whose ends are interleaved together and whose tail is long. When it moves to its female it spreads out its folded tail, and raises it up so as to cast a shade over its head, as if it were the sail of a boat being pulled by the sailor. It feels proud of its colors and swaggers with its movements. It copulates like the cocks. It leaps on the female for fecundation like lustful energetic men at the time of fighting. I am telling you all this from observation, unlike he who narrates on the basis of weak authority, as for example, the belief of some people that it fecundates the female by a tear which flows from its eyes and when it stops on the edges of the eyelids, the female swallows it and lays its eggs thereby, and not through fecundation by a male other than by means of this flowing tear. Even if they say this, it would be no amazing than what they say about the mutual feeding of the crows for fecundation. You would imagine its feathers to be sticks made of silvers, and the wonderful circles and sun-shaped feathers growing thereon to be of pure gold and pieces of green emerald. If you likened them to anything growing on land, you would say that it is a bouquet of flowers collected during every spring. If you likened them to cloths, they would be like printed apparels or amazing variegated cloths of Yemen. If you likened them to ornaments, then they would be like gems of different color with studded silver. The peacock walks with vanity and pride, and throws open its tail and wings and laughs, admiring the handsomeness of its dress and the hues of its necklace of gems. But when it casts its glance at its legs it cries loudly with a voice which indicates its call for help and displays its true grief, because its legs are thin like the legs of Indo-Persian crossbred cocks. At the end of its shin there is a thin thorn, and on the crown of its head there is a bunch of green variegated feathers. Its neck begins in the shape of a goblet, and its stretch up to its belly is like the hair dye of Yemen in color, or like silk cloth put on a polished mirror which looks as if it has been covered with a black veil, except that on account of its excessive luster and extreme brightness it appears that a lush green color has been mixed with it. Along the openings of its ears there is a line of shining bright daisy color like the thin end of a pen. Whiteness shines on the black background. There is hardly a hue from which it has not taken a bit, and improved it further by regular polish, luster, silken brightness and brilliance. It is therefore like scattered blossoms which have not been seasoned by the rains of spring or the sun of the summer. It also sheds its plumage and puts off its dress. They all fall away and grow again. They fall away from the feather stems like the falling of leaves from twigs, and then they begin to join together and grow till they return to the state that existed before their falling away. The new hues do not change from the previous ones. Nor does any color occur in other than its own place. If you carefully look at one hair from the hairs of its feather stems, it would look like red rose, then emerald green, and then golden yellow. How can sharpness of intellect describe such a creation, or faculty of mind, or the utterances of describers manage to tell of it? Even its smallest parts have made it impossible for the imagination to pick them out or for tongues to describe them. Glorified is Allah, who has disabled intellects from describing the creation which He placed openly before the eyes and which they see bounded, shaped, arranged and colored. He also disabled tongues from briefly describing its qualities and also from expanding in its praise. Great and small creation. Glorified is Allah, who has assigned feet to small ants and gnats and also to those above them, the serpents and the elephants. He has made it obligatory upon Himself that no skeleton in which He infuses the spirit would move, but that death is its promised place and destruction its final end. Describing paradise. If you cast your mind's eye at what is described to you about paradise, your heart would begin to hate the delicacies of this world that have been displayed here, namely its desires and its pleasures, and the beauties of its scenes. And you would be lost in the rustling of the trees whose roots lie hidden in the mounds of musk on the banks of the rivers in paradise. And in the attraction of the bunches of fresh pearls in the twigs and branches of those trees, and in the appearance of different fruits from under the cover of their leaves. These fruits can be picked without difficulty as they come down at the desire of their pickers. Pure honey and fermented wine will be handed round to those who settle down in the courtyards of its palaces. They are a people whom honor has always followed till they were made to settle in the house of eternal abode. And they obtained rest from the movement of journeying. A listener. If you busy yourself in advancing towards these wonderful scenes which will rush towards you, then your heart will certainly die due to eagerness for them. And you will be prepared to seek the company of those in the graves straight away from my audience here and hasten towards them. Allah may, by His mercy, include us and you too among those who strive with their hearts for the abodes of the virtuous,